Alright, just wanted to record this mission also. This will be sort of an addendum video to the Let's Play series I'm doing. So I'm doing these contracts, and I was going to do them all off camera, but I had a couple of unique ones. In the last video I showed putting some satellites in a specific orbit, and for this episode they gave me a contract to put a satellite around the moon. And so we've got this one here, position satellite in specific orbit of the moon. It's pretty good money, so I'm going to go ahead and do it, but we can also utilize this satellite in the future, because one of our objectives for this playthrough is to have a communications relay around the moon, and my plan was to have 3 comm satellites spaced evenly apart orbiting the moon, so we can maybe use this one as one of those. So I wanted to record it, but I'm going to make some modifications to this satellite compared to the other ones, the other 2 contracts, because I need this one to do a little bit more when it's up there. So I'm going to separate this out, and one thing is I want to add some different antennas to this one. I'm going to keep this one because I tend to forget to deploy my antennas, but I want these high gain relay antenna. We'll put 2 of those on there because for our relay network I want it to have these type of antennas. So there's that, and then I'm thinking a little bit more battery, because this thing could go around the dark side for a while and be out of solar panel range, so I want to make sure it has enough charge. And then finally, I'm not sure how much fuel I'm going to have left over, but when this contract is finished I want to be able to move this around again, so I think I'm going to add more fuel for future use. Now I can either add a second one of these, or we could just put one of these. So this is 100. I could put one of these and that would give me 200. I think that's going to be plenty. So let's just do that. Now that may mess up my fairing. I may have to rebuild the fairing. I think that'll suffice for a future relay satellite. So let's see how that affected everything. So we do have to extend the fairing up. Let's edit fairing. I'm just going to bring it up to here, like that. Okay, so didn't have to do much with that. Now, well, how did this affect my delta V, if any? Say something is wrong. Okay, too many parts. This is what I was talking about. When we start doing moon missions, I want to have money to be able to build what I want instead of having to finagle and pulling pieces off. So I'm gonna save this. This is contract probe 3, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go moon relay. I'm going to save this and let's go out, because I've been getting some money so I can afford to upgrade this now. So that'll get us to 255 parts, and we can now build whatever, well, within our technology range we can just about build whatever we want now. So let me just go through these stages here. If we're at sea level, so that changed just a little bit. I'm going to bump that thrust up a little. Thrust to weight ratio. Okay, that's good. Second stage should be pretty close to vacuum. There's not much thrust on that second stage. I think I will go to a Reliant engine here. So my delta V is 6586 right now. The thrust to weight ratio of 1.69. Now if we change this to a Reliant, let's see what we get. So our delta V actually, well, it went down because the staging changed. So we went up to 6604, so that's a little bit of a gain there. The thrust to weight ratio went up to almost 1.93. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I was looking to get to the moon, to get an encounter with the moon. We need 3400 plus 860. So a minimum of 4260. And we have about 4200 here. So a lot of this first and second stage can be used to get us out towards the moon. All we need to capture an orbit is 310. So we've got more than that on our third stage up here. So this should be able to get me out to the moon, catch my orbit, and make adjustments. And hopefully I want to have, I don't know, 800 or so left when I'm complete this contract, so I can later come back and put this satellite in an orbit that's useful to me. So alright, I'm gonna go with this and let's get it in the space. Throttle up, SAS on, and launch. So for this, we're just going to be looking for a heading of 90 degrees because the moon is on a 90-degree elliptic, or it's basically a even orbit with us here. So we'll start tipping over a little. Get too aggressive with it. Trying to pull that heading back in line. Second stage. Get my heading back down. I need to be tipping over here. Definitely more difficult not having the autopilot. I need to cut my engines. Got an apoapsis now of about 95. Have a nice heading at 90 degrees. Alright, we're in orbit. So I'm going to cut it there. Let's start looking at getting ourselves a moon encounter. So here's the moon, set it as a target. And this moon, I think if I was to set a maneuver about here, See if we can adjust the time interval and get something close here. I'm just trying to use the least amount of fuel to get the best encounter. Let's see, let me focus my view on the moon here. So we're pretty far out here, but what can we do to that? Ooh. So one thing to notice with this contract is wow, that almost lines up perfect where we want to be. The direction of the orbit, so it's going prograde, and we want to be going prograde when we inject ourselves into this orbit. That's a pretty fine encounter there. See, 229, and I'll be coming in at 239. That's pretty good. Now once we make this burn, I'll do a mid-course correction and adjust this inclination. I want to see if I can maybe get this a little bit closer. I don't think so. I think it's going to be as good as I can get it. Okay, how's that look? 16 minutes, 26-second burn. So we're going to use up about half of this burn is going to be from our first stage, so that's good. And we should have plenty left over to do what we want to do. So I'm happy with that. Let's get back to this view here and go ahead and line up on our maneuver. Alright, I'm going to fast forward to, we just got to make sure that our battery doesn't die. So now we're going on the dark side and it's starting to drop. But we should be okay. I'm going to correct my positioning before. Alright, fast forward just a little bit. Alright. And mark. Once I blow my first stage, I will go back to the other map. We're watching this here. It's projected. I'll slow it down. It'll be coming in here in just a second. Ooh. Overshot, but that's okay. We can do a little bit of retrograde and pull that back out. So I'm shooting for a 229.8. Man, I gotta turn my throttle down. My thrust, rather. Go back prograde. I got too many things on the. I can get rid of. Well, no, I can't get rid of that. 229 is what I'm shooting for. I have 266. Overshot it again. Okay, I'm gonna have to just live with that for now. Alright. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to get out here and we'll do a correction burn. I do want to be mindful of my batteries. Okay, I have sun exposure, so I just want to make sure that I have that. Alright, so if we add a maneuver here, so one thing I want to do, I want to bring this up so it's touching the target orbit. It's pretty good there. I think we're just a little bit below it there. Alright. So I want to do that, and then I want to burn radially out. I think it's what I want to do. I can push this out to where it's touching. It's pretty good. And then once we get here, we can burn prograde to capture our orbit and bring that in. We should be on the right plane and everything, so this should be fairly easy. I'll have to see if I can get that thrust down some more. Because the longer these burns are, the more precise you can be. Okay, we'll go with that. 12-second burn. Let's get on our mark. Little blue hash line here with 3. You can press caps lock and get a little finer tune on the keys. Alright, I like that. Let's advance to our marker. We will be viewing it from here. I'm trying to bring this brown line onto this orange line. As close as I can. Alright, we're still on our target. And burn. We'll start out full throttle and then I'll start slowing it down as we get closer. And we'll stop it there. Brown line needs to come, so I need to do a little more. Doesn't seem to be. Let's just go to a radially in position. Okay, that's going the wrong way. There we go. Alright, well. It's a pretty good intercept. We're just a little bit above it. I don't know if I can burn normal. That's pretty good. Now I need to burn out some more. Nope. Probably doing too much. But these inclination burns are cheaper the farther away you are. Alright, so let's unset that target. And what I want to do, batteries are good. Pointing at the sun. We have a panel aimed at the sun. Because I'm going to do a time warp. And I have lost my battery before during the warp. Alright, so we now are in the sphere of influence of the moon. What I want to do now is I want to add a maneuver node right on my periapsis. We'll burn retrograde. I'm just going to draw that in right about there. A little bit much. Our inclination is going to be off just a little bit, but we can adjust that. I think if I push prograde a little bit. Oh, I gotta go. I was looking at the wrong line. I think I like that. So that's going to be a 232 meter burn, so we should have about 1650 left to play with after the contract's over. It's going to be a 4-minute burn because we got that thrust all the way down. Let's change that. 15 seconds is good. Panel is facing the sun still. Now, another thing to think about is our comm link. So we're doing our burn here, and we should be in line of sight for that control. Because when we get back about right in here, we're going to lose comm links with the mission control, and we won't be able to control the satellite. That's one reason we want to put a relay network out here, so that in the future, if we want to land a probe or something or whatever, we don't have to worry about comms anymore. We'll have a network up. Alright, so that's an hour and 21 minutes. Let's warp to that. Alright. I'm still lined up pretty good for my maneuver burn. What I'm looking for my apoapsis to be 257. Slow way down here now. 257. I need to burn retrograde just a little bit. Alright, 257. Now the contract wants 257 by 229. So our periapsis a little bit out there. So first of all, I want to get rid of this. Let's check our inclination. May want to adjust that first. So I think if I burn normal here, will that bring my inclination up? Yeah, it did, but it brought it up too much. I'm looking for an inclination 1 degree. That right there. So in 3 minutes, we got a little correction burn to make here. I think 5 seconds we should be able to do it in that. Let's go ahead and position ourselves. So I'm looking for this to be 1 degree here. And mark. And cut. Come on. Okay, cut. Alright, we got our 1 degree. And that was it. That's all it needed. So I didn't have to correct my apoapsis. I was off a little bit, but not much. And that was putting a probe in orbit, specific orbit around the moon. Let's look at the moon while we're out here. That is a interesting little probe. So we ended up with a little over 1600 delta V, so we can maneuver this later. And I'll be going off of Mike Aben's guide for setting up relay probes around the moon. He has a pretty detailed setup that we can go with, where we get them evenly spaced apart. So, alright, well that's going to do it for this episode. Well, it's not actually an episode, this is just a contract video that's part of my Let's Play series. If you haven't found that, you can check it out. I'm doing a 50-point challenge for myself. I've made a spreadsheet with 50 different wind conditions, and I'm just slowly going through. This is all stock, unmodded, and career mode with no cheats. So if you haven't found that, go back and you can start at episode 0, where I go over the setup and all of the victory conditions, and watch along. If you enjoyed this video, just, if you would, give me a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.